welcome back to this film analysis podcast. Looking forward to doing another one. I kind of liked it last week, so we're going to do it again. This week we're doing Some Like It Hot. It's a 1959 movie. It is a romantic comedy. I thought it was so cute. I loved it. I really enjoyed a lot of this movie. It was kind of silly. It was good. So the plot was basically that there was this sax player, Joe, and his friend Jerry, a bass player, and they were working in a speakeasy. The speakeasy got raided by the cops. They got into some trouble with a gang, the Spats, and they got into some issues with them, and so they were on the run, and they decided to join an all-women's band, an all-female band, headed to Miami. And so they got dressed up as women and pretended to be girls, which I thought was really a bold choice for the 50s. Well, it was almost the 60s, but yes. So yeah, and there they meet Sugar, which is one of the other main characters, and they go by Joe and Jerry go by different names, Josephine and Daphne. But yeah, and then they meet Sugar. Sugar's like a really cool. She's super like sweet and a little bit. I wouldn't say ditzy, but like she's kind of reckless. I think that's what it is. Is that she's a little reckless. She like brings booze everywhere. She's like getting in trouble. But yeah, they both kind of like are into Sugar a lot. They start kind of like fighting over her a little bit, but they still obviously like are pretending to be women. They're like trying to get Sugar's attention. Sugar wants to like marry a millionaire from Florida because she's really sick of like sax players, which obviously the sax player guy, Joe, was like, oh no. So they go to Florida. They do their band stuff, and then Joe decides to make a disguise as a millionaire to try and win Sugar over, which works. And then Jerry, Daphne, has this guy that's just chasing after her, this millionaire dude. They have a hard time with the disguises and liking Sugar because obviously like women liking women, that's like taboo at the time. So they're trying to like figure out how they can get close to her without revealing themselves. And also while this is happening, the gang actually goes on down to Florida as well and is staying at the same hotel resort that the group is staying in. I don't even think it was to look for Joe and Jerry. I purely think that it was just like happenstance they ended up being there. So now Joe and Jerry have got a lot to do because they want to woo Sugar, although I think Jerry gave up on that pretty quick once Joe won her over. But now they've got to also make sure that the Spat gang doesn't notice them. So yeah, Osgood. The guy's name is Osgood. Osgood starts pursuing Daphne, which is Jerry. And that, at first, was, like, not something that was going to work out at all because it just, like, Jerry wasn't okay with it. But then Joe wanted Jerry to go through with it because it would give him access to the yacht so he could take Sugar, and he did. He took Sugar to the yacht. He pretended that he had no feeling and that no girl had ever made him, and he would marry anyone who could do it. So obviously Sugar's like trying her best there. On the other end is Daphne and Osgood, who are like enjoying their night of tango. They end up getting engaged. Sugar and Joe, they have a good time. They seem like they're working up to marriage as well. That seems to be going well, but then the other part does not go well because the gang catches up to them. They realize who they are. But yeah, they're getting like chased by this gang, so they decide to leave, which is unfortunate because Joe wanted to get with Sugar, so he has to kind of like pretend that he's got something else to do. Sugar's heartbroken. She's like singing this like sad song, and then as they're about to leave, Joe like kisses her in his Josephine outfit, and she realizes like what's going on. And they all kind of like head out because Daphne has agreed to like marry Osgood, and so Osgood is, you know, taking her to the yacht, and they're gonna go off into the sunset or whatever. And so they bring Josephine with, obviously. They bring Joe. Jerry is not gonna leave his buddy behind. And then Sugar hops on last minute. Joe confesses. Sugar is totally okay with it somehow. Daphne also confesses, and Osgood is very okay with it somehow. For a 50s movie to like low-key condone being gay and like normalize it a little bit, because Jerry is a guy and he could like admits it, and then Osgood's like, you know, we all have our faults, which honestly great, like great time, good, but also did not think that was going that way, to be honest with you. Like, I think I knew that I actually really liked how Jerry was shown as a little bit more like effeminate, because I feel like that's why I like refer to him as Daphne a lot, because he seemed like he actually enjoyed being Daphne. Like, he seemed like, you know, he could easily slip into that like feminine role and like you know, just do that, and like he seemed like totally cool with the idea of Osgood getting married to Osgood and like being rich and like just, you know, doing it up. So good for him, honestly. Good for him. He got his guy, he got his ending, and then so did Joe with the girl that he liked. So really cool. But anyway, so yeah, that was the plot. I liked the plot. I thought it was cool. I thought it was progressive, honestly. Because like I don't know what it says about like trans girls either, because obviously like that was a really taboo discussion at the time too, and I hope that it wasn't in any way like making fun of like trans women who wanted to be girls and just presented as women. I hope that wasn't the entire like intention of just like poking fun at that, but I don't think it was. I think it was more about at least for me, it was obviously like a gimmick, like a disguise, but I think especially for Jerry, it was a conversation about like, you know, where's the line between like, where's the line in gender? Where's the, you know, do you really have to be masculine? Do you really have to be feminine? With the like, it doesn't matter, because with Jerry, honestly, I think he like grew into his role of being a girl. Like he seemed like he was having a good time. He was like shaking those maracas. He was talking about Osgood. He was having girl talk and like loving it. Honestly, like Joe was not having it. You could tell that he wasn't having it. Like he was being a girl only because he had to. But Jerry really, I feel like, had moments where he was enjoying it. So I think there's something to be said there. I think the goal of the movie was just to just tell a romantic comedy. Like, I think that's all it was. I think there was some conversation about, as I was saying, like, maybe gender and gender roles and, like, femininity, masculinity, kind of that sort of deal. Was interesting. Because, obviously, like, I don't know about you. I think White Chicks was based off this film, too. But, I hadn't seen men in makeup and like pretending to be girls in film before. Like I had not seen that in any of the previous movies, really. So it was really interesting to see that was like something that they were trying to normalize a little bit by just putting it on screen, even if they were like, you know, silly with it. It was really entertaining. I don't think it had like a very strong message, really. I think it really was purely just like a romantic comedy with like some subtle like normalizing and like maybe some gender talks in there somewhere. But it wasn't like, that wasn't what the movie was about. Which I honestly kind of liked. I think that it's always good when you normalize something that you make it not like the hugest deal if you're trying to just like make it something normal, obviously. Like, they just did makeup. Jerry just kind of liked being a girl, you know. That's just something that happened, but it wasn't the entire point of the film, which is cool. Moving on to acting and characters. I liked the characters a lot. I know that they were probably stereotypical in a lot of senses, but I honestly don't care. Like, it was a good time. I don't know. I like rom-coms. I like a good rom-com. I think that this was a really good one too. It was probably creative for the time because I've seen other stuff like this now that are probably based off of this film, but it was pretty creative. I thought Marilyn, I want to talk about Marilyn here because I hadn't really, like, I had seen some stuff because obviously she's iconic. And you know the picture with the white dress and whatever, and her pretty blonde curls. But I'd never actually seen her like in action. I don't think. I mean, maybe I have. I don't. Maybe I just don't remember. But it was really interesting to see why she was so loved, and it's so easy to tell because she has such a presence in a film. Like she has like so much charisma and so much she puts so much character into it. Like I don't think this film would have been half as good if anyone else had played Sugar, which is really, really a testament to her talent. So yeah, I think that she really brought Sugar to life. I think that the actors for Joe and Jerry, Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon, who played Joe and Jerry, did a really good job as well. I think that they both really had interesting roles in this because Joe, I think Joe was a little less interesting to me in that it seemed very like typical what his character had going on versus Jerry, who I think had a little bit more, a little bit of a different thing. Yeah, so Joe was cool. He made his character interesting, and there was a lot of, I loved the bickering between Joe and Jerry. I thought that, like, I know that that's more dialogue stuff, but their characters' dynamic was really interesting because obviously, like, Jerry was a little bit more submissive, and Joe was a lot more, like, leading, which led for some interesting conversation. I don't know. I found it really nice. I think they had complex personalities a little bit, but to be honest, I think that it really did fit. Like, I know that Sugar was, like, basically just, like, this, like, this pretty blonde with, like, a little bit of a rebellious side to her, I think. She was, like, always into making a little bit of trouble, a little bit mischievous. And then there was, like, Jerry, who honestly probably is the most, like, different in my eyes. Because, again, like, that femininity, like, that's not something you see a lot in movies from the 50s. So I found it really, really cool. Yeah. In terms of direction, I liked the direction. I thought that the pacing of the movie was really good, actually. I never felt, like, super bored watching it. It was good build up and everything. There was a lot of tension, with the secret, obviously, because, it kind of, like, a little bit different than Rope, but kind of in that sense of, like, knowing that eventually they are not going to be able to keep up with the secret, and just kind of waiting to see how it will be revealed. That kind of tension is, like, there a lot of the time. Obviously, Rope had much more on the line, but yeah, I thought it was really tense. I thought it did a good job of, like, creating good, like, conflict between characters, because there was conflict between the characters Joe and Jerry, but then there's also conflict between Joe and Jerry and the gang, and there's also some things going on with Sugar at some point. I don't know, it was good. I thought there was, like, a good amount of, like, tension and suspense regarding their disguises. Like, you were always worried that, oh, this is the shot that, they're going to be revealed and it's not going to be good because everyone's going to be upset. But it didn't really end up like that. I will say that I think there would have been more of a dramatic kind of ending, where, they were revealed before they were ready. But I kind of liked the way it ended just because it was, like, nice. It was kind of, like, there's a little bit of a happier ending than if they had just ruined everything. I thought the score was wonderful. The music in this movie was great. I like the songs that Marilyn sung, that Sugar sung, and also just like the band. And the band had good music. Um, yeah, I thought the songs were really fitting. I thought the songs were very fitting, and they added a lot to the atmosphere. I also think I think there was some music that was not actually in the story, but a lot of it was just like music that the characters could hear because they were in a band, and like obviously Sugar was singing some of it, which is really really cool. I don't know, I like that. I think it's called like diegetic music, diegetic, something like that. Um, I didn't think it was too distracting at all. I thought it was like a really good, you know, really good volume. Um, I thought it worked well. I thought everything was timed really well. I liked the music. I thought it was nice. Had some good tunes in there. For cinematography, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really notice like a lot of super different shots. Um, yeah, I don't know. I didn't think I saw any like cool shots. I think that the lighting was really good, and there wasn't actually any color in this movie, which again was a really interesting choice because color, obviously there was color film. Like at this point, in fact, I'd say that it was pretty normal to have colored film. So the fact that it was in black and white was really curious. I think it set a different tone than it probably would have if it was in color. Um, the lighting was interesting because I think the part that I noticed a lot of like lighting symbolism was when Sugar was performing, because I think she had a little bit more light on her when she was a little bit happier and singing about happier stuff, and then she had a little bit less light and like it was dimmer when Sugar was to like convey feelings and shift tone a little bit. There was also like dim lighting in the yacht, which was appropriate because it was more of a intimate scene. The action was shot well. There was some good like chase scenes around the building that I thought was really really funny and good. The camera moved pretty smoothly. I didn't notice any like jumpy movements or anything, and I thought that the everything was framed pretty well. Thought that there was definitely some well framed shots in this where you can like see it's like specific. Like probably a good one would be like at the end with Sugar in the stage, and then Josephine kind of in the back, and kind of like them being on two planes. They were kind of a little bit separated, which also was symbolic because Josephine was like not really saying who she was, and they weren't really on the same page, and obviously Joe had just like lied to her a lot. But anyway, moving on to production design. I think this is probably the film's biggest strengths, because there was a lot of really like cool costume work and a lot of makeup and a lot of like sets that were really interesting as well. Like obviously there's the Josephine and Daphne looks with the wigs, the makeup, and the dresses and everything. And that sort of thing was really neat because it was a big juxtaposition to their normal outfit, their like normal kind of dude stuff, and it was also a juxtaposition for Joe, who was dressed up as the heir of Shell Oil. That was interesting because it really I think costumes were a really big part. Other than just demeanor, the costumes was the biggest thing that differentiated like the characters that they were playing within this movie. Like, and even in the film itself, it shows that with like if Joe had a wig on, even if he had the suit underneath, like that was Josephine, and he was just kind of like playing that role now. There's a lot of playing roles. There was a lot of like acting within acting sort of thing going on. So yeah, the costumes were really really great. I thought the environments were really neat. I thought that like you could tell where the like more feminine spaces were and that kind of thing. I thought that like the locations were cool, they were believable. They only stayed really like there were several sets and different places that they went into, but for like the majority, like half the movie, they were in like this hotel and the yacht, which or like the beach area yacht thing, which was cute. I like that. Yeah, they just felt believable, and they definitely tied into the story really well. I don't know, did a really good job with the production design. Special effects, there weren't that many. I think I'm thinking of the only time that there was any special effects, and it was. I mean, I bet the bubbles in the bath and whatever were fake, but the the biggest thing was like that scene where the spat guys, the gang guys, got shot, and there's so much gunfire there, and that was good. Although, and like yeah, just like the gunfire stuff, there was a lot of shooting going on, which was the only thing that I think they would need special effects for. It was kind of believable. I don't think, again, maybe it's just me. I don't think that things should get like too gory, but at the same time, there should be a level of realism there. Like there was not probably nearly enough blood than there probably should have been. But again, you know, you don't want to raise the rating of your movie to like have it have a realistic blood, like whatever. You don't need it. Um, so yeah, that's probably my only thing with that. Like believable, maybe, but at least the reactions to the gunshot wounds were good, and like there were good like blood spots or whatever. So yeah, I'd say it was pretty good, and in fact it was pretty good for the time as well. I'm just kind of harping on it because realism, like the question specifically is like, were they believable? And yes, they were believable, but they weren't realistic. Um, they aligned with the tone, they aligned with the era. I didn't think they were. I think they were pretty good. They weren't like too subtle, too overboard, nothing. And they integrated pretty well. So yeah. With editing, I thought the editing was great. I honestly didn't have any problems with it. I thought the editing was great. I thought it was super clean. I didn't think that there was any like inconsistent flow or anything. I thought everything like flowed well. I didn't notice any specific effects or any specific transitions. I didn't see anything like rope level or anything. It's just it was decent editing all around. There wasn't anything I had to complain about. There wasn't anything I really noticed. Same with the pace. I think that the pace went really well. There was good action at the very beginning. Like there wasn't a lot of slow kind of like roll stuff, because even the slower parts of the film where they're like just getting into the band and like just meeting all the girls, even that was still like fun and had like a cute and entertaining vibe about it. There was not a lot of boring exposition, which was really good. So I think it went, there was good flow there. There was good pacing. There wasn't a lot. It was organized well. I didn't think that anything didn't make sense. Like everything seemed to be leading up to the points that it led up to. Nothing seemed like amiss. Pacing was good with this one. Lastly, we have dialogue. I thought that the dialogue for this film was pretty good. I didn't have any problems with it. I thought that it was kind of funny, honestly. I thought that the dialogue for this film was kind of funny because I loved the bickering between Joe and Jerry. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it added a lot of personality to this movie, and it also added a lot of character for them. And yeah, I just thought that was really funny. And maybe not like the most necessary, but I think it really showed their relationship. And then like conversations with Sugar were also really interesting because there were a lot of undertones of like, oh, these guys definitely are like into her, but they can't really say anything because they're in disguise. So yeah, those conversations were very telling about characters. Maybe not entirely like context to plot development level. I think there definitely was a lot of that as well. Like I think that I never thought the dialogue was boring or unnecessary. I think that it did a really good job of being funny and being entertaining most of the time. They were pretty believable too, seeing as like the conversations they would have when nobody was around and kind of talking about the whole situation seemed pretty right, and like their terrible, acting they're terrible acting in like a character sense and like a awful at being girls, especially for jokes. I think Jerry did a good job, but or at least a decent job. But yeah, the obviously like the dialogue was funny, which matches it because it's a romantic comedy. There was a little bit of romance here and there. There was a lot of romance with Sugar. Um, you know, I thought the dialogue was good. I thought it was a good, funny time. Overall, I really liked the film. I really thought that it was cute. It was a good time. It was honestly a nice watch. I think that it dealt with interesting topics that people were a little bit afraid to talk about at the time. It brought up a lot of interesting ideas about like femininity and masculinity. I think that it did a good job, even though obviously like it had its faults. All around, was a good time. I enjoyed the film a lot. Would watch again actually. I think that I would. So yeah, I had a good time with the movie, and I will see you probably next week with another one of these. So yeah, bye.